Mediation in Washington can be a variety of things. You cannot have an attorney and go to mediation as what we call a pro se party, meaning you don't have an attorney. There's few mediators that will do this. Or you can go to mediation with an attorney, and so an attorney is going to help guide you. In Washington, though, most litigated cases, meaning they're starting in court, you're going through the court process, they are going to end with a mediation, because most cases resolve, like 98% of them resolve outside of a trial. And so you likely will find yourself either at a mediation table if you've chosen that route, or in the collaborative process. And we can talk about that separately. But mediation is where you and your spouse come to the table, not the same table. You often actually do it on Zoom nowadays. And the mediator is going to go in between breakout rooms, and you are going to literally be negotiating back and forth until you get to a final resolution of your case. It allows you to solve your case without the person in the black robes input. Collaborative divorce in Washington is probably my favorite process. It is a process where you and your spouse agree that you are going to resolve your divorce completely outside of court. You are going to sign a participation agreement saying you're going to stay out of court. You're going to sign an agreement discussing how you're going to act towards each other in this. And the collaborative process utilizes neutral experts. So you might have a divorce coach involved, you might have a child specialist involved, you might have a neutral financial expert involved. These people, one, they're going to cost less than your lawyers, so that's good. And they are going to help you come to a durable agreement on your finances, on your division of assets, and on a parenting plan. And the child specialist in particular can actually bring your children's voice to the process. The child specialist can talk to the child, and then the parents will meet with the child specialist and hear what is going on, what might be some of the child's concerns. The collaborative process allows you to do these meetings. They do happen either face-to-face or on Zoom, but you're all together in a Zoom room. And so you and your spouse need to be able to communicate and be able to have these conversations. It's not easy, but it is an amazing process. And by the time you are getting through a collaborative divorce, you have developed some serious skills on communication with your co-parent. So litigation is the other way you can get yourself divorced. And in Washington, you would file your petition for dissolution, and then you would go through that litigation process. Discovery, you might file interrogatories, requests for production of documents, depositions, all the things litigation related. And then maybe at the end, you either tried mediation because it was mandated and it fell apart, it didn't work. And so now you're looking at a trial. And a trial is when the judge, the person in the black robe, is going to make the decisions. In Washington, we don't have jury trials for family law matters, they're judge trials. And so a judge is going to hear the evidence on both sides. The attorney is going to present all the evidence, and we are going to build a case for why you should get what you're asking for. A trial is a very expensive and often very demanding process. And so I think it is important before you embark on a trial and think to yourself when you're just like, oh, whatever, I don't care about this mediation, I can go to trial. A trial can be very difficult. And so thinking about the impacts of a trial, not only on you, but on what that trial is going to do to your lifelong co-parent relationship. I have to tell you, every time I have to stand by somebody who files a document in court and they are slamming the other spouse, and I know those documents are public and children will access them one day. It is important that you think through this, and it is important that you hire an attorney that helps you think through this. People ask all the time, what does it cost in Washington to get a divorce? If I could answer that question precisely, I feel like I could just be on an island in the Turks and I would be doing nothing. It is complicated because litigation by far is the most expensive because you are going through the entire process and you're ending in a trial. And often to get to a trial, the firm that you hire is going to require a fairly large retainer for the trial. And so, I mean, a trial case could be a 6-figure type cost. Whereas if you start in litigation knowing, though, you're going to end up in mediation, this could be more of a typical, $15,000 to $20,000 kind of dollar range. Obviously, though, we can't know for certain what your case will cost until we talk to you and understand the factors, because there are so many factors involved in determining which process is right for you and what is going to make the most sense so that you are keeping most of your money in your pocket for your family. And it's interesting because sometimes people think the collaborative law process, they're like, oh, I don't want to do that. That's going to be too expensive. There's all these experts involved. That is going to be costly. It is so interesting when you look at the direct costs of a collaborative divorce as compared to the long-term costs of a divorce that you might have patched together outside of the collaborative process, and then you find yourself in post-dissolution litigation. So when you really look at it, you need to ask yourself, what are the long-term costs to your family of each of these processes? Are you going to be paying for psychological help for your children because you duked it out as brutally as possible? Or are you going to pay upfront for the collaborative process and you now can co-parent successfully with emotional intelligence, putting your children first, front and center in every decision? If you have any questions about which process to choose in Washington, whether you are going to go down that litigation route, mediation, collaborative process, please reach out. This is one of the most important conversations we can have with you as you set the tone of what process do you want to start for your divorce and your family.